pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve prior minutes of April 27th, 2015. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. I have a couple of announcements, and then if anybody else does, that'd be great. Open Book is happening right now. It's also going to happen on tomorrow, the 12th, from 12 to 4, on the 14th from 9 to 1, and on the 16th from 9 to 1. Also, Grievance Day is Tuesday, May 26th from 10 to 12, 2 to 4, and 6 to 8. So come in and talk to the assessors about your property value, your assessment. Today, the Aging Committee honored our drivers, present and past, for our senior van. Woody Deersay, Tony Pretorti, Rick Perea, Dave Regg, Tony McConneville, Karen Hatter, and Mark Levin. So thank you to all of our volunteers and for the great service of the senior van. June 1st is the last day for everybody to pay their town and county taxes here. After June 1st, you'll have to go down to Poughkeepsie and pay the Dutchess County Commissioner of Finance. Our pool opens weekends starting May 23rd, and that goes through June 29th when it will be open full-time. I think that's it. Does anybody else have any announcements?
Yep, I've got one. The Friends of Rhinebeck Cemetery are hosting their second annual spring scavenger hunt on Sunday, May 17th at 1 p.m. It's free and great for all ages. They have prizes and refreshments, and it's at 3 Mill Road in Rhinebeck.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, excuse me. About 3 months ago, we passed a law to provide for enforcement of the enhanced 9/11 addressing. And what I've done is created a form for emergency responders to fill out if they see an address or a home or a building that's not properly labeled and that has interfered with their response. Once they fill that form out, we'll get it back and then take enforcement action. If you'd like to see a draft of what I'm going to be giving the fire department, the police department, and the emergency techs, it's available here.
When does that start, Alan? When does the enforcement start?
I think it started.
I thought it was 3 months from the date we passed it.
Yeah, we passed it in February.
Yeah, but it's only May.
March, April, May. Yeah, at the end of the month.
Okay.
By the time this gets in, it'll be done.
You know, I called emergency services about my property, and they gave me numbers that seemed wrong. What do we do if we have a question about that?
You mean the actual number of your property? There's a phone number. It's 845-486-6533, and they will tell you what your address is.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? We have a presentation tonight from Stephen Cook. He's the director at the Star Library, and he's going to talk to us about the 414 referendum.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having me here. This is really just a preliminary visit from the Star Library to the town board to notify you that we are planning this November to have a vote on an increase for our budget. Now, I was here about 2 years ago, and we were working to see about becoming a special district following the New York State Board of Regents and the Mid-Hudson Library System. Thanks to Kevin Cahill on the Assembly side and Terry Gibson on the State Senate, those bills were worked through the respective houses, and then we made it to the governor's office where we were vetoed. So that was something that I think we're probably not the first people to say we disagree with the governor, but we are working on alternative arrangements. So we have been doing a lot of research. The board is a little bit behind, as we thought we might be able to do a special district this year, but that does not seem to be the case. Very few things seem to be different in Albany. So we are going to follow the route that we have. This would be our first request of the taxpayers in 10 years. So it has been a long time since we have asked for additional support from the taxpayers. As I mentioned, the board is still working on this. This is a topic of discussion. Our next board meeting, the Finance Committee and the Publicity Committee will both be discussing our needs, and then this will be a topic at great length during the board meeting proper. So, following New York State's suggestions for getting a 414 vote, as it's called in state education law, we are bringing just this news to you, to the town board, and by extension the residents of Rhinebeck, that we are beginning this process. We do not have a number at this point, and that is something that we need to settle, and then at that point we will be back to visit with you and to answer any other questions that you may have. As I said, it has been 10 years. We have done quite a bit in the last 10 years in ways to serve the Rhinebeck community in terms of our programming, in terms of our outreach, in terms of many of the things that we do. It's not just a place to get books. We are much more an information exchange. We have a place in the community. We see a need and we seek to fill it. We see community groups that need space to meet. We offer that. There are a lot of groups, the Parkinson's Support Group, the Alzheimer's Support Group. There are a lot of drama groups that have used our space, and there are places that without Star Library they might be meeting in someone's living room. So we continue to provide that. We provide early literacy work. We find, and it's pretty much universally acknowledged, that a good background in early literacy helps students work. We see now a great increase in the use of our space by businesses. People come and they use our Wi-Fi, they run their businesses from the library, they communicate, they can use our fax machines, they can have meetings there. We provide quite a bit of such. So we have felt that just this brief introduction of what we're going to do will set us right for the future, and I would imagine that in the next month or two I will be back before you.
Thank you. So this is independent of the town. This is a courtesy. You're informing us that you're doing this. You have to collect signatures.
We need to collect 10% of the votes from the gubernatorial election, which, as per the Duchess Board of Elections, I believe is 283 that we need. So we will have our friends of the library who support us out and getting those. And we will need to be in touch with the town clerk and in touch with the County Board of Elections to make sure all of this runs smoothly. And we want to have all our T's crossed and I's dotted.
Great. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
If you had been successful in getting a special district, you would be subject to the property tax cap?
Yes, but we are now.
What do you say you are now?
We are a taxing entity by the state laws of New York, and we are subject, independent of the town's tax cap and calculations, but we are subject to the tax cap regulations.
So that throws me a little bit, but what taxes do you levy now?
From a vote in 2006, we received $225,000 per year from the taxpayers of Rhinebeck.
Right, that runs through our budget. But
we
are subject to the tax cap.
It is calculated separately. You act as our agents, as you do for the Morton Memorial Library, to collect taxes in the community on the establishment's behalf. But we are calculated separately from your tax cap.
That's true.
Yeah. Oh, so it is subject to a separate tax cap.
So what would the 414 process accomplish?
Being unable to get a special district, state law, Chapter 414, enables us to ask the voters via referendum for support. The law the law states that the amount shall continue until such time as the library asks for an increase, which is passed, or in some case, I guess, a decrease, and that was voted upon.
We just did that recently, Alan. Morton came in, and our total library went from 260 to 302 or something like that.
It went up, they went up about $45,000 through the 414.
But if they were a taxing district, they basically you could set your own budget every year and your own tax rate every year.
Yeah, but then their board is elected.
Understood.
Well,
But
the taxing is not set every year. I mean, it requires a fair amount of work to go out and get on the budget, or excuse me, on the ballot. We don't ever assume that it's a slam dunk.
No, but if you were, so here's the question, if you got special tax district status with the board elected by the voters, then your budget would be set by the board that gets elected.
Our budget would be proposed. If we were to become a special district, yes, the trustees would be elected, and the budget would be on the ballot every year.
Okay.
Without any, it would be a requirement for the district.
School board.
Yes.
The previous 414 was 9 years ago or 10 years ago?
10 years ago, November of 2006.
Your rates have been frozen for 10 years. So this
Yes.
is the process by which you ask the voters for additional funding.
That is correct. We have done, our budget has grown slowly over the years, and what that has meant is that we have gone out looking for grants, looking for additional funding, and the library has become very, very good at fundraising.
Great. Any other questions? I guess we wish you luck and look forward to seeing you back.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
Okay.
Any committee and liaison reports?
well, I don't know if everybody's seen the notes flying back and forth from the county where sounds like they're getting close to saying they're going to take us over as far as the sewer district goes. We still have repairs to do. We have to get everything done by July to keep DEC off our backs. Mannix is digging in on that. So that's going well. As far as the trail thing at the park that I said I would do, I've measured it, and now I have to talk to Kathy and find out how big or how small the blade on the grader, road grader is. Otherwise, I'll have to rent a little piece of equipment. So.
All right, good luck with that.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
What about the zoning email we got?
Which one was that?
About fees for compliance on variances?
Yeah, they've been upset with that, but that almost seemed like a personnel issue as I read that.
Should we refer it to our attorney?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's where that should go.
Joe?
The Workforce Housing, Affordable Housing Committee met with some developers this week. We have a conference call with an expert tomorrow, and we're going to formulate some plan to present it to the board. So work is being done.
Sorry, Elaine, did you have anything?
No, but I'll be discussing the resolution for my cemetery committee when the resolutions come up.
Great. Alan? You have a bunch
I have
of
some new
resolutions.
business later on the rec committee, which we'll talk about then, basically a soccer camp and a dance program and a salary adjustment.
Great. Shelley and I went to Saratoga for the department, the OCS Budget and Finance School last week, where I had a bunch of interesting classes. A couple I'll be talking to you guys about, but we had a good class on fraud detection and prevention, on government reorganization through subcontracting, consolidation, and civil service overview. And another good class was policies and procedures. And I guess I'll just work with the clerks in the next couple of weeks to make sure our book is up to date and compiled, and we should be reviewing these policies one on a quarterly basis and adding to them, and they have a lot of good templates, so I'll get that going and circulate it to you all. Also, I guess last Friday, or before last Friday, last week, about a week and a half ago, I filed our consolidation plan for our property tax freeze and the rebate checks. So we're way compliant. I believe we had to show about $21,000 in savings, and we had close to 60. So the point is that, you know, the governor is mandating that we consolidate and save, and it's something that we've been doing naturally forever. I think towns are pretty thrifty. That's the feeling with the Dutchess County supervisors and mayors. We all seem to be on the same page with that. Also, working with the county on a good project that they spearheaded for all of us. It's the FEMA hazard mitigation. We have another meeting next week, and we should have a FEMA plan for the town. The county is templating this for all of us, so that's a great thing that they're doing. Anybody else? Should we go into our resolutions?
Sure.
I'll make a motion for Resolution 2015-128, our preliminary abstracts, vouchers 499 through 556, 47 checks totaling $33,132.57. May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. I will make a motion for Resolution 2015-129 for our capital project account payable, one check totaling $8,500. May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. I'll make a motion for 2015-130 for the intermunicipal agreement with the Rhinebeck Central School District. May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Resolution 2015-131, extension of Royal Karting Transfer Station contract. May I have a motion?
Motion.
A second.
Second.
Any discussion?
The only thing, let me just explain what this does. It extends the contract for a period through 2018, and there's automatic extensions thereafter, bringing us to 2027. So we don't have to remember to ask them to renew. It renews automatically. Royal has an out only if they give us notice 90 days before a renewal period. Also, we've switched December for it's the summer schedule rather than the winter schedule. It's still light in September. And last thing is that they're going to take over directly the electric. Now they've been reimbursing us. And the last thing they wanted, and I assume it's reasonable, it's number 5 on page 3, that if the rates go up at the Dutchess County Resource Recovery Agency, they can automatically pass that on to the rates they charge here. And it's a long-term contract going to 2027, so at least I think that's a reasonable provision.
And they're paying, what fee are they paying us? Just the $100?
Now, I think they pay us $125, and that's to defer electric costs. The electric has been running more than that over a year. so that we have asked them to take over the electric bills.
So our fee for them is the 100 a year?
No.
No, it's nothing, and they will pay the electric. Now, we don't get anything other than something to defer the cost of electric.
Did Warren look at this?
I don't think so. You know, it's just a simple thing. See the need to look at it.
Anybody else?
Well, is the only place they take it to Dutchess County? Do they go to Ulster?
I think at this point they're taking it to Dutchess. Conceivably, they could take it someplace else.
Yeah, that was an issue when we first did this because that's closer. Ulster is much
It's
closer.
closer.
Yeah. So
I can check with them as to whether they will take it to someplace else. I guess we could.
it's not a big deal. Where I was going with it was before, if they were going to increase it, they had to come to the town board.
Yeah.
Right.
And so just automatically doing it doesn't necessarily put us in the position of representing the community. So I kind of prefer that. It's slam dunk, but I'd prefer to go through the formality of them coming to us.
I
So
agree.
we can terminate the contract.
Yeah, but I think we want to have a viable contract in place, right?
Yeah, we certainly are not going to business. What I could do is say that if they take it someplace else, that only if there's an increase in that someplace else, they pass it on. But, you know, if they have to come to the town board, we could say no. And they're locked in for a period of years. So I don't quite know why a rational business person would sign a contract like that, where they have to come to us if their costs go up. Now, I can see if they don't use Dutchess Recovery and they're using something else, you know, we could certainly ask and try to modify that, but to come back to us,
Also, I'd be more comfortable running this by our town attorney.
fine.
He might have insight into this that we don't have, you know.
But what do we want to do on the increase? Just provide that if they run it by someplace else?
At least as a courtesy to us, because we are responsible for it, that they come to us before they increase the...
Let's see what
So does that
Warren,
mean just announce it to us, or do we have a veto over it?
Well, we don't have a veto over it, but that could be the trigger for us to terminate the contract.
Right, we can terminate.
Yeah, so
So you want notice to us before it goes up, but no
maybe
veto?
Warren will have an idea of what to do with it. Maybe it's pro forma, or I don't know.
Well, there's not pro forma, you know, it's a business term. Lawyers don't generally do business terms. They do legal verbiage. Not everything flows from a
But it was
lawyer. Sometimes business people can make decisions.
They should.
What? They should. That's like... So I can certainly run it by Warren, but we're trying to now decide what to ask for. Bruce, you're okay with just giving us advance notice?
yeah.
Okay. Are the rest okay with that? And
Yeah, that sounds...
then I'll run it by Warren.
Yeah, I'd like to see what Warren's advice is to us. We have a motion on the floor.
Well, let's table it.
I'll move to table it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Resolution 2015-132, Greenscape Plan Phase 1. May I have a motion
Motion.
and a second?
Second.
Great. Is this?
This is the resolution from when Suzanne came in and spoke to the presentation on the Old Cemetery Greenscape Plan on April 13th. It's implementing Phase 1 for tree planting, identifying tree locations and planting, and it addresses specifically sections D, F, and A of the cemetery. So this resolution is just allowing them to go ahead and implement Phase 1.
Any further questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thank you. Any new business?
I've got one thing. I can't make the village meeting tomorrow night, so if someone else would like to cover it, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm tied up tomorrow
I have a
night.
meeting I'm committed to.
I actually have a volunteer obligation tomorrow at 7 p.m.
I tried, Gary.
So I have three resolutions that are I think at the beginning of your notebook. First one is to establish a summer soccer program, basically at the camp. It'll be run by the soccer league. They have insurance, I'm told, and basically the fee would be $175 per child per week.
Sorry, I don't have these.
Oh, we're here.
They're in the mail slots.
Right? I think it's in the front of the police binder. It's in the front of the...
I took my book this morning.
Took it too soon. Anyway,
Thank you.
it basically says the recreation department would cap each week at 36 children, $175 a week would be the fee, $150 would be paid to the coaches, and we would get the $25 per kid. They would have access to the pool, and so on. So I move,
Did we bring this to the floor yet?
I'm going to do it
Do we
right
have a
now.
second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? You should say that.
So this is going on while the camp is going
Yes.
on also?
And where are they going to do it?
They're going to do it on the soccer, on the fields around the pool, or behind the pool.
We'll have construction going on. Do they know they can be there, or?
They're not doing any construction in the field, they're doing construction to the east of the pool. This will be to the south of the pool. No?
East side of the fields and the west side of the fields would be under construction
Yeah,
this year.
that's a huge construction zone.
All right, then.
If you want to do it well, that could be worked out. Does this replace the club's soccer program, summer camp program?
I think this is this club's summer soccer program.
Do you know, Roger?
The Rhinebeck Soccer League doesn't specifically run a summer program.
They've stopped doing that?
There are summer camps later in the season, but those are run by external groups.
Okay, but they're brought in by the club, usually.
External groups solicit our support. We support the solicitation. This
Roger, can you, if you're going to, let's just
I
not
shouldn't have
cross-
asked Roger, I'm sorry.
It's okay, yeah.
So, what are the age groups?
I don't know.
Do we know how many coaches?
I don't know, I don't know either.
What are the,
Well, all I know are the fees and the dates.
yeah, but do you know who the coaches are?
No.
Okay.
It's the Dutch guy. I met him, he was, yeah. I guess I'd want to know how many coaches and what are we,
Okay.
I think it's great. I just want to know, where's the money going? You know, it seems like 5,400 is going to the coaches. How many of them are there? And, you know, what is the town for the $900 just supplying fields.
Okay.
And I guess the other concern I have is that we know that area is going to be a construction site, so, you know, I think it's
Okay.
great that Alice is doing it. Maybe we could just get it answered for the next, you know,
Sure.
meeting.
Next meeting's not till June,
No, we have May 26th.
May 22nd, okay.
Does it have to be at the Tompkins?
I don't know. I mean, Alice proposed this. I didn't have a chance to get into it, obviously.
Okay.
She's doing fine. And I also didn't know how much detail you guys needed, so I'll get it.
Well, let me give you another question. You got the age things, right?
Yep.
When the club used to do it, when we did Corver, we'd run 100. When we did Metro Stars, we'd do around 100 kids. And it was open to people, not just in the club,
This is 36 kids per week.
for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks.
No.
2 or 3?
It says 2 in the
Two.
resolution. Doesn't say through, it says
Week of
and.
July 20th, the week of August 10th.
Oh, and, okay. So
Yeah.
it's 2.
And so I don't want to have the town competing with the club, and I don't want to have the town competing with the school, because the school runs camps in the summer too. But if there's been a request from somebody to do this, of one of those two things, then that's,
Okay.
we shouldn't be competing with them.
I think it is RSL sanctioned because one of the people here was in the leadership there. I just happened to see because I was in town hall.
Okay, well, we'd just like
A
to
little
be
bit more
sure.
information, yeah.
Okay. So we'll table.
Okay, thanks. Tabled. You have two other resolutions?
Yeah, well, let's do a simple one.
Okay,
One of the lifeguards that
let's
we...
bring it to the floor first.
Okay,
Make a
so I
motion.
move, this is resolution number 2015-135. You have copies of it.
I'll second.
Okay. Basically, this corrects a pay rate for one of the lifeguards who has a water safety instructor certificate, and we're paying people with that certificate a bit more than the ordinary lifeguards.
Great. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved.
Okay. The next one is, I said a dance class, I misspoke. It's an exercise class to be held at Town Hall on Tuesdays for an hour, starting September 8th through October 5th, and Wednesday, October 13th for the 10th class, because there's a conflict in Town Hall on the last Tuesday. It's $10 a class, $8 for the instructor, $2 for the town. I believe the instructor is Alice.
Did we bring this to the floor? We did?
Yeah. Okay, I will.
Did we?
I move we approve resolution 2015-134.
I'll second it. I guess one concern I have is this is right during budget season, and Town Hall is booked Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays with Justice Court, Planning, Zoning, Town Board meeting. So this takes out a whole, I just don't know the schedule for what's available for us for budget.
I was told that you checked the schedule and that...
No, I'm sure it's available, but it takes out a prime time evening spot for us to budget workshop. That's one consideration. Did we check with the school to see if it could be done there?
I don't know.
So, the other thing that just struck me as odd is we're paying, and now we're going to pay more for something that's brought forward.
I'm sorry, say it.
A town employee is going to run this.
Is it a town employee?
He just said
I thought
Alice.
Alice was going to run it.
I'm sure she's not.
Well,
I'll
if she-
find out
yeah.
who it is.
Yeah, because she's salaried.
Not paid to do a exercise class, however.
so I think this is a holdover, right?
Table.
Okay.
Okay, any other new business? Discussion items, waterfront grant appropriation request, tab 6.
Okay, this is the grant that's been lingering for quite some time now. It was the old remaining balance from a former Senator Solan's grant for the Rhinecliff waterfront. We have $2,227.02 left that we can spend. We've already been approved by the state to go ahead and put in a new grant for a request to how to use it, how we can use that money, since what we needed it for before, that need no longer exists, has been met. So we don't want to lose the money if we have the opportunity to do something with it. So we talked about the dock signage. Unfortunately, even with the signage that we would put down at the Rhinecliff waterfront, that only uses $960, which leaves us still $1,267.02. So at our April meeting, we discussed a couple of different possibilities, and Joe, you had mentioned talking to Bobby about dock repairs, which actually is perfect because it was part of the original intent of the money to be used at the dock. And so you gave me an estimate from Bobby for the lumber to help repair the wall. So I went ahead and completed the budget narrative for our request to use the remaining $1,267.02 toward the lumber costs. So I would like to be able to submit this because it expires at the end of July, and there's always a very good chance the state is going to come back with questions or issues that need to be addressed, and we're already now into May. So the longer we take to do that, the greater our chances become of losing the money. So I'd like to get the board's approval to go ahead and submit this request.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent idea.
Did we, yeah, it's under the
Or maybe we
procurement.
should just do a resolution from the floor authorizing.
Okay, so for the next meeting, maybe.
Submit this to the state.
Yep.
Ask.
Yep, I'll definitely do that. And, you know, I noticed at the end of our discussion items, you had the discussion of the dock, which is exactly what I was just referring to. So I don't know if it makes sense for you to bring that up now instead of waiting till the end, since it's...
We can wait. All I got to say on the dock is the repairs are going to be over $10,000.
Okay.
So...
Well, if we get this money for the repairs of the dock, it'll be $8,000. Is the Coast Guard going to...
Well, who knows about the Coast Guard and whether we'll live long enough to see the money.
But I mean, Elaine's putting a grant in for part of it. If we don't approve the rest of it, then...
Well, that might be part of what affects, that's why I'm saying the sooner we get it in, the better, because that's probably going to be one of the things they're going to want to know, because when I show them the statement for the cost, the first question is probably going to be, how are you going to fund the rest? Is the town willing to commit to fund the rest? Because it wouldn't make any sense for them to give us the money if we didn't.
Have it.
Yeah, well, we have to. If anybody's been down to the dock, you can see the bulkhead is breached and repairs have to be made.
Right.
No two ways about it. So, yeah, we got to cough up the money.
Okay.
Has anybody talked to the Coast Guard yet?
They're in the process of filling a claim form out. It's taken like 3 months already to get all the information. I'm told last time it took several years to get the money, and the amount of money we got was cut down from what we put in. This is at least what Rochelle told me.
Well, we replaced the ship bollards. Big operation. We got an extra one out of it, and we did all that with Coast Guard money, and that was within the same year.
Oh, let's see what we get, if anything, from the Coast Guard.
Okay.
Get a sign that says Coast Guard not allowed.
So you'll have the resolution
For the next meeting. Yep.
Well, wait a minute, why can't we authorize it now and not wait for another meeting?
That would be preferable, because the sooner I can get it in, the better.
Why don't we do a motion from the floor? I move-
Motion 2015-133 to approve the, you want to state it?
It's the submission of the grant to put signage at the waterfront, Rhinecliff waterfront, and also to repair the bulkhead landing.
in the amount of,
$2,227.02.
Second.
any further discussion? Joan, do you have everything you need? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Great. And are you bringing forth the repair of the dock at the next meeting, Joe?
Yeah, not now. I think everybody's just too busy to actually do the work. So
Okay.
let's see what we hear on the grant.
County development block grants for the ADA bathrooms at the pavilion in Thompson Mazzarella Park. I don't remember if I forwarded this to all of you, but Ann Saylor, who's the Community Development Administrator at the Dutchess County Planning and Development Department, has been in touch with us. She realizes that we approved the infrastructure for the park, but not the pavilion. The pavilion was too costly, so that was not approved. We had a $100,000 county grant, development grant for the ADA bathrooms, and she just wanted to make sure that we knew, I'll read it to you. She wanted to follow up on the status of the bid for the pavilion/handicap bathrooms at the Thompson Mazzarella Park. This is a 2012 Community Development Block Grant project, which has already received 2 extensions. 2 extensions are rare, and we've never done 3 in the 30-year history of the program. We'll need to recapture the funds if the project isn't done by the 12/31/15 deadline. I'd appreciate any update you can provide. Please let us know if we can provide any assistance. Very good conversation. They've extended it. They're not going to extend it again. If we don't use this $100,000 for handicap accessible bathrooms at the pavilion, it will go back to the county. They just wanted to make sure we had plenty of warning so that we weren't surprised in December. We can't, I said maybe, I answered her and said, I know, maybe there's another project that the grant will be appropriate for, and she said, I believe you're clear on the issue, but I just want to make it 100% clear that you and the board understand that it is highly unlikely that the town will be able to reprogram these 2012 funds. So it's a courtesy heads up. They don't want any bad feelings in December when they say we're not getting the grant, and that's fair enough. They also said they'd be happy to identify any projects we may have that would be suitable for the grant in the next round. So I just publicly wanted to tell you that and thank them for their patience, for extending it for 2 years, and I think, the funds will go back at the end of this year.
Well, before we predetermine that, conceptually, what we could do is build an ADA restroom there that
Yeah.
isn't the pavilion.
Yes.
And we could do that for well under
Yes.
the $100,000.
We're well under the 800, yes.
Or pour the slab for the pavilion and
But
put the bathroom on.
how much was the
Grant
dog
was-
kennel? 15,000?
15,000, yeah.
So, and, all we do have to do basically is figure out the leach field, whether that's going in the infrastructure or was part of the bathroom grant. If that's it, then we can do this.
We could do it. We have to have a plan. We have to get it approved.
Yeah.
We have to go through SECR, I think.
Yeah, but most of it's been done. All of the Department of Health's been done. The planning board part of it, cutting down the design, hasn't been done. But the Department of Health and all that has been done.
If we have a plan for a bathroom that, that's handicap accessible, and it's priced right, we can still get the grant. We have until the end of this year.
So,
Has to be done by the end of the year or started by the end of the year?
Finished.
you gotta be able to flush the toilet.
Good.
Okay, so we have fair warning, and if we can, that's it. Asbestos abatement, I think.
Yeah, we've hired the planner for the project, and that person will do the monitoring and the air sampling. We are sending out tomorrow the bid proposals for the actual abatement itself. The bids are due the end of the month. It turns out that one of the problems we have that I think we can overcome is that our electric comes in through the room with the asbestos. And as part of the abatement process, they use a lot of water. And we can't have electric flowing in the room where they're using water. So the electric will have to be turned off by Central Hudson to the building. Alan, I, Bobby met with an electrician today who's just giving us advice. He's not proposing to do the work. And he thinks we can rig up something to work off our emergency generator. But it will require about a day and a half of electrical work to run lines from the emergency generator, bypassing the normal connection, which is through the boiler room. And we think we can certainly get the computers enough electric to work. Air conditioners may be a problem. And the bid asks for proposals to do the work during a week in June. I haven't specified in the bid which week. We would talk it through with the successful bidder and come to a plan. Hopefully, as I say, we think that our emergency generator, which will run during the daytime, and if people can conserve electricity, we should have enough to run the...
I'm confused. You're proposing that we stay open while we're doing the asbestos mitigation and run off our emergency generator?
Yeah.
I think we have to.
This says closing town hall for a weekend.
Right. Since I gave this to John, we've talked about other plans, and the problem with closing the town weekend, you have time and a half at prevailing wage, and we don't know if it can be done in a weekend.
Why wouldn't we want to close the town hall while we're doing this?
Because you also shut down the village hall. Because of the computers that they use are here.
Well, we could keep that open.
With the generator.
But wouldn't
which has to be rewired.
Wouldn't we want to close town hall and not have our personnel here while we're doing this? I mean...
It's going to be completely sealed off. I'm worried about the asbestos leakage. The whole idea is not to have any... They basically seal the room up while they're working.
Right, and they take air samples constantly. So nobody has suggested that you have to close the town hall. The weekend just was an earlier thought as to how we would deal with electric, but now that we discovered that we can use the generator, that will solve that problem, so we can have as many, functions as we normally do, conserving electric. What we haven't focused on yet is telephone, and we'll be talking to Joan and maybe Frontier as to how the telephones would work and whether they present the same problem as the electric in that furnace room. The solar, we think we can turn off because that flows into that room where the abatement is.
Where's the controller for the telephone? Is it in that room too?
Yeah, it's in that room. So the next step is to get a lowest responsible bidder and then start meeting with that bidder and our project monitor to go over the project and with an aim to get the asbestos removed in June so that we can go on to the next phase, which is the replacement of the furnace.
Right, but the computers will definitely be able to stay on. Should we let the village know that we could possibly, you think we'll be fine?
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Anybody have any questions? Friends of the Cemetery Survey of Cemetery Graves.
That can be taken off. That's no longer necessary.
Okay. Is there any public comment on non-agenda items? Is there any further business? I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Good night.
Start calling Bruce Secundo.